Welcome everybody, I'm Ali, and today we're going to be talking about chemical engineering and answering some of the questions which a lot of you will have, or will have have at the minute, or will have in the future. So the first sort of time you might hear about chemical engineering is when you're at college, and I know from experience it can be quite a daunting experience to have to sort of decide your career at such a young age. So I hope this sort of video helps you, sort of make the decision, whether it is for you. And if you do have any other questions, then please just leave a comment. So the agenda is sort of split into four sort of categories. I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet. So first we'll be talking about what is chemical engineering. We'll be looking at, is it for you, is it for me? What sort of program should I do? So should I do a master's, should I do a bachelor's? And probably the most daunting question, and probably the most asked question, is will I get a job? So firstly, so what is chemical engineering? It sort of depends on who you ask. It's very broad and just sort of translates to a number of different things. For me, quite simply, chemical engineering is essentially your process to get your raw materials to more useful products used by society. Now, the process in which that occurs obviously can be optimized. There's always better ways of doing it. There's always more efficient, cleaner, safer, cost-effective ways of performing, many process tasks. For example, your cars get you from place A to place B. They're now sort of steering away from oil and gas, moving into sort of electric cars. You see a lot of electric cars on the road today, and a lot of the process side of these things is covered by chemical engineering. So whether it is cars you want to go into, or it's sort of data that you want to sort of look at, so chemical engineers go into sort of developing code to process through large amounts of data at an effective rate, way faster than myself or yourself could do it on Excel or something like that. Chemical engineering in today's day and age has got a particular emphasis on renewable energy, so wind, solar, etc. Those are the two main ones, and sort of managing our non-renewable resources better. So your oil and gas, etc., are quite finite, and sort of they can sort of see the end of life for that. Amongst these things, one of the main sort of focuses is as well to protect people and assets and the environment. So is it for me? So this really depends on what subjects you're studying at school at the minute, at college, what subjects you're quite interested in. The name chemical engineering kind of indicates that it's chemistry and engineering, but it's not the case. So chemical engineering is largely based on your sort of physics fundamentals and your mathematics. It has a reasonable amount of chemistry in, but you'll be surprised by how much, and then a little bit of biology as well. So I guess if you're quite sciencey, then chemical engineering is definitely a great route to sort of explore. And obviously, if you're looking for a career in chemistry, then it's probably not wise to choose chemical engineering. So when you actually have a look at chemical engineering, you'll see a variety of programs. The two main ones are Masters of Engineering, MEng, and a Bachelor's of Engineering, BEng. So the main differences are obviously your BEng is like typical, other degrees. You've got a 3-year course. The content is largely the same between your BEng and your MEng. And the Masters of Engineering, as you can see, can take 4 to 5 years. So you've got an extra 2 years potentially of studying there, which is obviously more in depth. MEng is definitely larger. You get more recognition in the industry with it. There's a lot of companies out there that are sort of require you to have an MEng if you want to work for them. And the other thing, the good thing about MEng is that you can do industrial experience as well. So you can spend a year in industry and get it sort of endorsed by the IChemE as well. One of the main things about bachelors, obviously with the 3-year course, you end up with a degree, and then obviously you are allowed to specialise further. So you can sort of do, an MSc or an MEng, over 1 year, and something that you prefer, and you'll end up with 2 degrees instead of 1. So the MEng is like an integrated degree, so you only get 1 degree certificate, whereas if you go down the route of BEng, you've got 2 degree certificates there. So those are the main sort of differences between the two. I personally did Masters of Engineering with industrial experience, but I can share that another day or another video. Lastly then, will I get a job? So this question will cross a lot of people's minds. It's a scary question. In today's day and age, there's a lot of competition out there. Chemical engineering opens the doors for many industries, many companies. So the main sort of companies you've got are sort of pharmaceutical, energy, information technology, banking, and so forth. The main sort of names you can see on the screen. So you've got obviously AstraZeneca, a pharmaceutical, GSK, a pharmaceutical. You've got your likes of BP, Shell, oil and gas companies, and a lot of other sort of engineering companies. So in terms of jobs out there, there are plenty. Typically, once you graduate, you'll just sort of look for a graduate role and then sort of work your way from there. But there's a massive sort of even in the oil and gas industry, like I said earlier on in the video, it's the end of line is sort of in sight, and that doesn't mean that you're going to be out of a job if you work in oil and gas, or if you want to go down that sort of route. But there's a massive sort of energy transition occurring in the industry. So there's the plants, the oil and gas rigs that are being decommissioned, there's plans for them to become something further, not just be left as a lump of metal in the sea. But again, that's something else I can discuss on a separate video. And that's all I've got for today, guys. So thanks for joining. I hope you liked the video, and if you've got any questions, then feel free to leave them down below. Thanks, guys. See you in the next one.